Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris and this is Restoration Rescue. So usually we're out in the garage. However, today we're gonna be inside the house and we are gonna be working on our gauge cluster. We're gonna try and get this thing refurbished, looking awesome so we can go back in the truck and we can start seeing how fast we're going down the road. Here is our gauge cluster for our 1963 C10. Obviously, you can tell it's a little dirty. We have a lot of cleaning to do. We have a lot of things to take apart. It's obviously already out of the car. It's only a few bolts that bolt it right back in. And we are going to take it apart and get this thing cleaned up and looking good. As you can see inside, we have our Speedo right here. And that thing is looking a little old and needs to be primed up. We're going to need to paint that as well. We're going to paint this as well while we're here and even get rid of some surface rust on the back. Make this thing look awesome. So let's go ahead, jump right in and start taking this thing apart. As you can tell in this video, we're going to be a little bit different of a scenario as we're going to try and do a lot of the things here and explain it as we go. So we need to take apart a lot of this back plate to get to our gauges. So we have a 1/4-inch bolts that go around. Obviously, when we get into here, we have a little extension. It just gives us a little bit extra room. Can't find my regular extension, so we just have to use a swivel. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start popping some of these bolts off. So make sure our icon ratchet is to off. And let's start taking some of these things off. They come off nice and easy, it looks. We can take them right off. So we have seen multiple write-ups online on how to do this, but I have yet to find someone do this on YouTube. So we may be the very first. And we want you guys to see what we're doing and how to do it. So that's why I've chosen to do it on here. Obviously, one, it's normal to our channel. We show you pretty much everything we do, minus some things we knock out off camera, but we've shown you how to do it before. So I'm gonna move into a little bit of fast forward. We'll get the rest of these nuts off, or bolts off, and we'll start taking this thing apart. So now it's time to start pulling these off. So this comes out pretty easy, and this has our speedometer, and it also has our mileage. So as you can see inside here, you can see that, and we have our Speedo. So that looks pretty cool, and it resets to 0. There is a light that's up here that has a little Chevy emblem. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that looks pretty cool, and might be able to even reset this mileage, because obviously I really doubt that this speedometer cluster has only gone 11,147 miles. So we'll put that over there, and then we'll take apart this if it wants to come out, which there's little clips that are here that show it. So we have some warning lights here that we're gonna need to clean up. We also have a warning light here, and it's kind of cool just to see the cardboard that's been in here for years. I don't know what this brown black stuff is at the bottom, but it might just be some glue. I'll need to take this apart again. We're gonna sand it down and make it look good, but this is for our coolant temperature, and I believe this is an oil pressure light. We'll set that one down, and last but not least, this one comes right out. We have a fuel gauge, and it looks like we have another warning light, which we already obviously know about. This looks in really good shape. Obviously, I'm gonna touch up my gauge right here, just making sure and get that orange looking good. So we will get that taken care of. And now we look inside, and that looks pretty good in there. A little bit of the paint has obviously stripped away. So, and looks like we have a little piece of broken part in there, but we're gonna go ahead and now we will take off this whole piece, which again is gonna be a 1/4 inch socket. We don't have our extension. I couldn't find it out there. I know I have one that's pretty much locked onto our piston ring compressor, so I can't really get that one off, but this will work. I just got to keep it straight. Not a big deal. We're going to fast forward again, and I'm going to get these off. All right, so just a little bit of a hint for you guys here. So the bolts that go in the top are just little short ones, where the longer versions go around the edge. So now let's pop this off. That comes across really easily, and we can see that nice green paint. Yes, it is chipping, and we will most likely need to refurbish that. We have one more warning light here. It looks like we should have one more, maybe, I don't know, but we're gonna set this off to the side, and you can see that this part comes off and is just completely black. That is absolutely amazing looking. You can see our numbers have kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but I can definitely see it. Through the years and the sun and the grime, it has kind of settled into it, and now here, I believe, this is going to be a little bit of a pain. Oh, nope, this just pops right out. There is no glue anymore that is holding this. But what we're going to do is we are going to clean this glass up. The back looks really good. I'm going to just touch it up a little bit. We need to get a little bit of white paint down in here and a little bit more white paint up and around here to make these numbers pop. So it does look like there is glue in here that we are going to need to clean off and re-put in. I don't really know what would, I mean, if we even need that, because obviously it just sits in here and then gets sealed. But I might put the glue in and the sealant just to make sure that nothing gets in here ever again and clouds this up. Because right now you guys can't see anything. It's really dirty. So we need to clean this off. Also, we have this apart, so hopefully that stays where it is. But you can see our gauges. So we have a generator light, which we won't probably have running because we no longer have a generator. We have our gas, which we have our empty to full, which is around here somewhere, which is right here. And then this side, obviously, the coolant temperature. And this is the generator that's going to say, hey, we don't have enough pressure. So what we need to do right now is kind of clean this off, get rid of this glue, and just get this thing looking good so you can actually see what we're doing. All right, so we are going to start cleaning this, and I have some good old-fashioned glass cleaner. If it wants to spray. There we go. Just spray it down, and then we're going to softly wipe it away. Get this thing looking pretty good. So I did just have to order some paint. Obviously, the satin jade paint, unfortunately, is on back order right now and doesn't look like it's going to be back until the end of the month. But that's okay. This is going to be a multi-day project. So this right now, oh. So just that one spray down of this has removed a lot of dirt and grime from this thing, but we're gonna have to do it a couple more times because that did not get the glass very clean, but it did make it look a lot better than it did 30 seconds ago. So we're gonna get this done. We're gonna keep on spraying and cleaning and spraying and cleaning until this thing looks amazing. So after just a light cleaning, that looks 100 times better. Obviously, we have some spots down here that we're gonna have to go a lot more deeper in and clean a little bit better. Also gonna have to get rid of all this black glue that's on here, and I'm gonna try and get rid of all this green jade paint, which we'll repaint again. We just need to tape it off. We also have ordered the white paint and some really fine bristles so that we can get in here and paint this and make these look absolutely phenomenal, especially right here in the oil pressure gauge. It looks like all the paint is now missing. It does come right off this old paint, so we're going to need to go ahead and repaint this so that we can get all these numbers to pop. So now what we need to do is we're going to put that off to the side, and we are going to start working with some of the other parts on here. So now we have the front cover. Obviously the front cover needs to be cleaned up. This is more of an outside job because what we're going to do here is also sanding. So we're going to have to sand this back down, get rid of all the ugly mud here, get all the mud out of the ground, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. But now what we're going to do is we're going to move over onto this back panel. Now the back panel, I just sprayed and has a bunch of overspray on it, but this is going to get repainted black, and the back is going to get just a once over and cleaning. It looks like we have a little bit of dent here on it, so I may do a little bit of metal work here just to make sure that this thing is straight. But now what we need to do is we are going to hop in here and we are just going to wipe this down. Now this may also come apart. We're not really going to use our glass cleaner here. I'm just going to use a little bit of soap and water. So we do have a little bit of soap here on the sponge right here, and it does appear that it is taking some of the paint with it, which is fine because I have ordered some flat black paint so that this can get a nice repaint. Right now, I guess we're just gonna, cut this down and get this looking fine. So let me go ahead and get this knocked out. So that's all been taken care of. We're gonna put that over here with that. So now we just have our gauges, which the gauges look pretty okay already. I may come in with that white paint. There is a Chevy emblem right there and paint that. We also got some gauge paint. This is our speedometer though. We may take this apart just to get down inside of this to see our mileage gauge. So this is pretty easy. I can pop these two bolts off, which are the same size here, and get down to our not really our speedometer, but really just the cluster here, and get these things taken apart. Actually, I'm not gonna, it doesn't look like I need to paint this, as there's gonna be a light that goes right behind that Chevy logo and kind of lights it up. But what we need to do now is we are going to start refurbing some of the back of these. So I may take this apart so I can get this off, so I can just sand this down and get rid of this grime and this old stuff, and then get this primered and painted so that this looks pretty good. The inside looks amazing already. It's just really the outside that needs to be touched up and get a good coat of paint over it. So let's go ahead. I'm actually going to take these 2 bolts off. I don't really need my extensions, so we're going to get rid of that, so it makes it a little bit easier. And we are going to get these off. Now, it looks like there is a bushing or a piece of rubber there. I'm going to try and save that. No reason to have to put new stuff on there if we can avoid it. All right, that doesn't look like it wants to even come off there, so we'll leave that where it is. This side, I think, is going to come right out with the bolt, which is fine. I'd rather that than, stick on there, especially because now I have to be careful to not screw that up. Oh, actually, so it's a little bit of a recessed little piece in there. So we have both of those out. Those screws look a little odd. They have like a piece on it. Let me see if I can find the other one right here. You guys can see it. It has a little bit of a lip and an edge. And right here we can see it's kind of an indent on that panel. So we're going to open this up. And this is going to be that back panel. There is a little bit of a thing here. And here is where that light goes. Obviously, that's going to pop right into here. So hold that so that won't go anywhere. But yep, and right there, you can see the logo is clear, which means this black light right here is going to keep that out. So right here, as we have stated before, is our gauges. We don't know if they work. I am going to try and test that out. May just come right in here, take that panel off, and pop off this so that I can get to this and make sure this is good. So this is going, as we can see here, this kind of like spins, it looks like, and the faster it spins, it's going to hold our speed. Now, this is probably going to have some sort of, right here, sorry, I kind of got away from the camera, but we can see that the faster this little thing turns in a clockwise manner, it speeds up. Like to be over here in the 80 mark, but hey, we barely even have drive right now. But we're gonna get this thing cleaned up. This thing looks pretty good as well. Might just dab a little bit of cleaner on here just to get rid of some of that grime that I'm feeling on my hands. And now that that's apart, I can set this off to the side for now, and then work on this. I'm going to pop this little piece of cardboard off with the little light on it and snap it over here, because what I need to do is I'm going to grab a piece of sandpaper, grind this back, and lay down a clear piece or a little bit of paint and get this taken care of. Now this feels a little greasy and wet inside, but that's probably some of the other stuff that we've been spraying. So this paint here, this silver, looks original, and that's pretty amazing how well it's held up over the years. But now we're going to set that one over to the side. We're going to start popping these other ones off. I think this black stuff is glue, and it looks like over the years the glue has obviously died and faded, so we're going to get that taken care of. We're going to wash these as well. Let's see if what this does. Yeah, just easy cleans right up. And now our gauges are our lights. So this is our light. So this just sits here. It looks like obviously it was glued in at one point. Maybe this was already done, but it lights up. This one is red, so the light behind it turns red. We're gonna get rid of all this like old glue almost looks like nerds, like like a different color nerd than everybody's used to, but it does look like old nerds. We're getting this thing taken care of. So let's that's clean. Just run a little bit more cleaner over that. Then you have all this as well. Now this is a this is going to be a different light. We're going to get this side cleaned up a little bit from that glue as well as get this side cleaned up and make it look pretty good as well. Yeah, I'm going to have to sand this down. We're going to sand it down to almost a bare metal. This side, I think I can just get in there and get rid of all this ugly glue that's on here, right? Like that, it just pops right off. That I can get this cleaned up. This side I might just scuff a little bit, but this will look fine. And last but not least, we get down to this gauge. For this one, if I want to take this piece off, which I probably won't, there's no real reason to. This is our gas gauge. I gotta figure the setup on this still. Obviously, we have our another little warning light, and that one, if I can remember, I believe is our generator. No, it was generators on this side. This is our oil pressure light. So there's going to be a light on the back of this that's going to get plugged into that. I have a little bit of grime here. We're going to rub this down, get this thing all good to go. But what we need to do now is kind of clean up our workspace because it's gotten a little messy with all that ugly glue. Like our nerd looking glue, which is now flying all over the place. Gonna put it right here on this little thing. Just go throw it out. So in here is our jade paint, and obviously it's starting to flake and peel away. Literally, I'm just rubbing my hand over it, and I guess the glass cleaner as well is kind of, getting rid of it. But the outside of this doesn't look that great, so we're gonna sand that back as well. But we can obviously see that this is starting to peel away, which is fine. And we will get this taken care of. So we do need to grind this back. I will get rid of all this paint. Looks like we have a little bit of a mess in here over the years. Some dead bugs, some stuff, more of our nerd style stuff in here. But you can see this is just a mess. Years and years and years of grime that's just sat up on the bottom of this thing. Obviously, we're going to get rid of that. But it's definitely going to take a while to get all of this off. So I'm going to put this a little bit in fast forward and start playing around with it to get some of the paint off. It looks like almost that our glass cleaner almost puts a, it's almost like a paint thinner. So I'm going to spray it a little bit in here. We'll just start thinning this stuff out. And chipping away some of this old 1960s jade green paint. So what I'm most likely going to do is put a little bit of paint thinner on that and let it work its magic and kind of get rid of all that old jade paint so that when I spray it, it's going to look absolutely flawless and we won't have any issues. So now we have a lot of this old jade. I should watch out. This is probably lead-based paint from back in the 60s, so I'm not going to lick this or anything. But I'm going to get this thrown out and cleaned up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start working on grinding away the old paint out of this and getting ready to get painted as well. Going to have to prime that one. We're going to paint it body color. We're going to find a color for that, actually. We're not going to do body color like the green on the outside of the truck. I may see if I go with a color that is matching, similar to our beige interior, but that is something I have to decide. I haven't gotten to that point, but let's go ahead. We're going to grab something to sand that thing down and start sanding away that old rotten paint. So I grabbed a little bit of sandpaper outside, as well as some grinding discs, as well as my Milwaukee grinder. Now we have this on the lowest setting, so it shouldn't take too much. It's not going to hurt it. It's just going to take a little bit off. You can see how quickly it's already taking off right there. We're going to go ahead and grind this down, get this thing looking amazing. So we've gotten all the paint off of the inner part. We still have the back plate and the back, or the over here to do. Even though it's going to be hidden, I still want to do it. Get this thing looking absolutely incredible. It was a little tough to get into the angle sides, like down here, to get rid of some of the paint. And that's where some other parts came in and other tools. So we have a lot of work to do on this right now. So I'm gonna start grinding away. We have our trusty M12 tool from Milwaukee that is really helping us out. We're gonna try and get a lot of the paint off the outside of this thing and just go from there. So we have the outside now painted, or the backing, the black, which looks really good, and the green has now been painted, as you saw. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try and paint all the numbers over again and insignias. So now I have this really thin brush and a small amount of white paint, and let's start trying to lay the paint in there just a little bit. So it may not look like it, but that paint is coming out amazing, and it actually did. I know you can't see much of it. It's a little dirty. We're gonna wait until it dries, and then I'm gonna clean it off. Let's put it on the black background and kind of see. Yes, it's got smudges in there, and I need to clean them off. but in comparison, that thing looks absolutely incredible. I don't know if you guys can see the smudges, but once that stuff dries, be able to like easily be able to clean that off without damaging the dried paint. So now what we need to do is we are going to come over, get so much black stuff off the table. We are going to start painting the gauges. Now the gauges, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of cloth and sneak it behind the, or try to sneak it behind the orange piece here, the needle. I can't speak today. And then paint the needle, if I can. And paint the needle back its original color. So there you go, you have it. We have the paint, shake it up a little bit, and open it up. Now, this paint wasn't that expensive, thankfully, but here you go. You have like almost like a little dabber that's on the top of it. And I'm just gonna, well, it's a little bit of a different color. Now all this stuff I got off of like Amazon, or the paint I got off of LMC, and it's really nice. Let's see, we're off of this anymore. So we have all of the gauges in set where they belong. Now this is cool because they have caution lights for the most part. There's a caution light right here that is just going to show us lights, a light here, and 2 gauges. Now speedometer, gas gauge, we have enough. But now this goes over it all and kind of hides everything except a few lights. So that's going to be a really cool look. So once that's together, the next piece is the glass and then the outer shell. So let's go ahead and start putting all that cool stuff back together and getting this cluster looking like it should. Wow. So that actually, I'm really surprised about it. Came out absolutely incredible. I am really impressed on how good this thing came out. Again, I can't believe how good it is. All the paint looks really good. The Chevy emblem looks amazing, because that was missing almost. But now it's all painted. We just need to, clean it up a little bit with some degreaser and everything to get some fingerprints off there, and paint it and put it back in the truck. So it's obviously not ready to go back in the truck because we still have some painting to do interior wise in the truck, but otherwise this thing is set and ready to go back in the truck. All right, so that thing came out absolutely incredible. I can't wait to throw it back into the truck. Like I said, we have a little bit while left before this thing goes back in that truck. A little bit more paint to do. This thing needs to get painted. I'm not leaving it just regular silver because that'll blind the hell out of me. So this is going to get painted as well. So we'll take this off, get this painted, get all the electronics hooked up, get this thing working. It's really cool. This one claims that it has 11,147. Could be 101. Could be a lot of miles. My brain doesn't want to work right now, but we got this thing done and ready. This thing looks absolutely amazing. I can change my fuel level. Obviously, we see an E and an F on the gauges. We have a hot and a cool, so we have a generator light too, even though we have moved over to an alternator and have moved over to 12 volt. This thing is absolutely incredible. We're going to touch up the glass a little bit. It's not perfect. The inside is pretty amazing. The outside doesn't look that great. It's been damaged over the years. It has some, dirt and things in it, so it might, polish it. But that's going to be a wrap for today's video. I hope you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you are not, please do consider subscribing. Smash that like button, help us out, and continue watching the videos. We'll see you guys next Saturday.